And good morning from Leverhulme Park. We're starting the foraging walk, and I think it's just going to be about 7:30 in a minute or so. And today I'm joined by Simon, Leanne, Jodie and Jasmine. And I think Adele, you wanted to get the map out? Yep, brilliant. So we show you where we are based on the location here. So if you just hold the map. So we've just pulled over to the car park, which is located here. We're just walking across the field and we're going beside the bench here on this spot here, and this is where we're starting along by the side of Long Lane. So Long Lane, car park, we walked across the pitches and here we are. So this is part of the cycle path for Leverhulme Park. We're just going to walk around onto the main path. And I'm not sure how many of you actually use this route, because it's a little bit to the side. It's really only use if you're actually a local resident along Lane to really walk down this way. So a lot of people have never use it, and it's quite an interesting route because it's one where actually all the fruit trees are. So as we go along, I'm going to pass it over to Simon. Simon's going to do the filming, so I'll just switch it around.
Yes, please. Thank you.
You good? You can all get in and yeah. Right. Another jogger. Doesn't it? Right, everything on this side, from this tree, is actually a Mirabella plum tree. So you can just about see at the top here a very small plum just starting to form. So that's going to be about 6 weeks, I reckon, before it's actually ready to be collected. But most people don't even know this is here, and it's not really natural. It's been planted probably at least 25-30 years ago. But a great thing here is that there's a lot of young plum trees growing in front of it. And unfortunately what happens usually, because the council aren't aware of it's a fruit tree, they have to cut the paths back and they basically just kill the young saplings. So what we're going to be doing is actually taking those saplings and taking them to allotments, and it's free plum trees. So you can see, for instance, down here, young sapling, that's probably a few years old, that. And we could probably dig that out and move it to the site. The plums from the Mirabella plum tree, it's not common to find them growing in a park. But we can collect them, you can eat them raw, you can eat them in jams, you can pretty much do anything you like with it. But it's really easy to identify at this time of the year because you can see the plums growing on it. Simple as that. By the way, you can all talk as well, it's okay to ask questions.
We're just talking amongst ourselves, Chris, about you, in fact.
Oh, thank you.
Right. You're a very naughty boy.
So the next one to this is hawthorn. Hawthorn, you can actually eat the leaves, but what you want to do is actually you want to eat the young leaves. And the general rule when it comes to foraging is you want to eat the young leaves, and then you want to leave the berries and anything else that it produces, such as the berries here, to ripen. So eat the leaves young. So now it's way too late. So we're talking probably about April was a good time to eat the leaves. You can still eat them. It's not recommended at this time of the year, and they do taste.
Do people eat them though?
Yeah, yeah.
They're very bitter.
Well, this is it. If you eat them young, they still have like a kind of perfume taste to them. Same with the flowers. You can eat the flowers, so when the flowers start to appear, if you eat them, they've kind of got a bit of a nutty taste to them.
Right.
But you have to do it when it's flowering, otherwise, when it gets to when it's just about to change into the berries.
Put them in a salad or something.
Yeah. Well, mostly it's like with the seeds. With the more seed heads in a lot of the plants. It's all about actually for salads having that nutty taste to it. So you can also eat the berries on this when they're ready. And hawthorn's easy to identify because of the giant spikes that it has on it. You can see the spike there. I'll put my finger just behind it so you can see how sharp it is. So it's not really one of these plants that people like to touch or harvest anything from, because you just end up with spikes all stuck in your hands. And my hands are a great example of that. So right next to that, we actually have nettles. And it's the same thing with the nettles. You want to actually get them around about April, where they're still young and coming through, and they're very young and they're still bendy, and they're easy to take. And apparently you can even take these seeds. So you can take these. Be careful. Apparently you can roll them up and eat the seeds. Yeah.
How does it taste?
No, you won't need to. As long as you're careful when you're doing it at the top. It's when you brush against it, really. That's when you're actually going to get all the nettles on you. But you can take the seed heads and there's, you know.
How does it taste, Chris?
Actually tastes nice. It tastes nutty. Most of the plants taste nutty. There's a lot of plants in practically everything you see on here is almost edible, but it's how close and similar it tastes to grass that we would want to eat it in the day. It's all about trying to find something that's got a unique taste to it, something different that you wouldn't normally find.
If you're feeling ill at the end of this walk, how
Yes.
will we know which one it's?
I know.
We'll find a plant that's got medicinal properties.
Well, the funny thing is that there's a good chance we'll come across one plant potentially on this site where you only need to eat 2 leaves that'll kill you.
Yeah.
And there's another plant which is incredibly common, but produces cyanide in warmer climates.
All right.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
you can eat them, except for the one that I said with the 2 leaves. But in general, it's probably not a good idea. But yeah, you can make nettle soup. You can make nettle omelettes from it, and it's all about once you start cooking it, then it kills all the spines and the needles that come out and actually sting you. And I think it's a histamine and it's also a serotonin.
Is it?
Yeah. So it tricks you into actually thinking it's harming you more than it actually is. So it causes inflammation from I think it's the histamine, and it's the serotonin that causes the pain response to leave it alone.
It tastes like cabbage though.
No, I've had nettle omelette. It's really nice. But like I said, you have to do it around April.
I've had nettle wine. It's really nice.
But I think as well.
Yeah, really nice.
Alright, so we're going to carry on walking along. Like I said, nettles are really important, and we're hopeful they're still going to be there. But we'll show you why nettles are really important as a habitat, because even in a small patch of nettles, you could have hundreds of caterpillars if you come across them at the right time of the year, at the right moment. And as we're going along, you can see we've got brambles.
What is?
So you've got brambles coming through, young brambles. They're flowering. You've got young brambles flowering, and in a couple of months' time, these will have all the berries on it and be able to actually harvest the berries. But brambles are common everywhere. You'll have loads of blackberries off those, so that's really good.
Blackberries freeze really well, don't they?
They freeze
Well,
amazingly.
a lot of fruit freezes really well, and I find, because if you go to the supermarket and you spend a lot of money on fresh fruit, you buy frozen fruit or you come and pick your own and freeze it, it's just as good. Stick it in porridge.
The amount you can actually harvest from Leaving Park is insane, the amount of blackberries is.
Yeah.
And there's a general rule when it comes to doing the blackberries, removing them, is you don't take them at ground level, because that's where the dogs have peed on them. You don't take them from the very top, because that's where the bird's feeding on. You take them at our height, between that level, between the two. So then you actually leave a lot for the birds, and you leave a lot for the dogs to pee on. So we've got thistle on the right hand side. The leaves are edible. Pretty much no one bothers, because it's just so much hard work. Because you can eat them. People have even eaten them raw, but it's like, why would you? Honestly. You know, why would you take the chance of eating something like that when there's so much abundance of other things? So at the back of here is a apple tree, and surprisingly it's not actually a crab apple. I'm not too sure of what type. So if you want to follow me, Simon.
It's a red apple, isn't it? Some kind of red apple, isn't it, Chris?
I believe it's some type of red apple. So it's just this one here, at the back of here. That one. And usually what happens is, can you see them?
Think so.
Yeah. Yeah, zoom back out. So usually what happens is, the section on that other side gets stripped clean by people who actually know this apple tree is here. And then the section on the other side, which isn't really accessible by people, the birds and the wildlife take them, because it's not worth going into that area, it's too dense. But yeah, with those ones you can eat them raw, as far as I'm aware, with those type apples. But obviously the crab apple ones you can't eat raw, it'll just make you sick. So, we're going to carry on. this is the thing, is this entire area, as you're walking along, it's full of brambles. It's full of brambles, it's full of nettles, it's full of food we can eat. But we never really venture that far because we're all really terrified that there's a certain plant out there that could kill us, you know, if it's the wrong one identified. And there's really only there's only a small minority that actually have that kind of effect on us. And you need to think really we've had millions of years of evolution alongside all these plants. So there's a very good chance that we've adapted to actually being able to eat these plants. You know? And what usually happens is if you do take something poisonous, the majority of the time, you'll taste it really bitter, or it'll make you vomit. It's an indication that really you shouldn't be taking it. So it's like even it's actually foxglove that's massively dangerous, and you only need 2 leaves to kill you. If you take more than 2 leaves, then it makes you vomit. So then you're not affected by it. So it's a very precise dosage when it comes to foxglove. And if you do have foxglove in your garden, young kids, it's probably an idea not to have it and have it removed, to be honest. It's a really lovely plant, but it is incredibly dangerous. It's the same as the nightshade. It's on that level of dangerous. So, we've been joined by Gavin. So,
Hello!
Morning, Gavin.
Gavin has got a lot of experience with foraging as well. And myself, Simon and Gavin came out yesterday and we just did a general kind of route finding to see what actually was here. We already had rough ideas of what we do know, but it's kind of what we wanted to find to make it interesting for us as we went along. So, just going to keep walking. So on the right hand side here, this is vetch. There's an abundance of it, and this section is predominantly just this section where we've got nettles, vetch, brambles, and was there some fireweed, willow herb?
Yes, willow herb.
Apparently you can eat vetch, and the pods, I don't know if you've got any little pods.
There's some
like little peas.
some a bit further down. They look like pea pods.
Apparently it can cause mild toxicity. There's a lot of people who apparently just eat it, but they don't eat it in large quantities. I've not really looked into how toxic it is, but it's like Himalayan Balsam. You can eat Himalayan Balsam, but when it's actually older, it does have toxicity issues. So you kind of be selective about the plant when you're eating it and what you want to eat from it. So we'll just try and find some seed pods. And vetch is one of those where I think there's like 7+ variations of it. Like I think bush vetch is one of the most common. And here you go. So that's the seed pod from it, you see. And apparently people have said they eat these. I'm not going to try because I'm hearing about it being slightly toxic. I'm not even going to take the chance. But it is interesting to see what it turns into.
Just try a bit.
Just try a bit. But it is interesting going from what is that a vetch to then suddenly being almost look like a different plant. It's like with Butterbur. With Butterbur, you originally have this nice little pink flower, and the next thing you have, once it disappears, is these gigantic leaves, which you'd never think the two are related. It's strange sometimes. So that's one of the...
It looks like a vanilla pod, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Exactly. That's what's strange. You know, it's down here. There's ones which are a bit more advanced come along.
So it starts off like this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it ends up like that with the little pods.
Yeah, the little pod down there.
Oh yeah.
Amazing little plants, really. Pods, you know, they completely transform.
Looks like a caterpillar, doesn't it?
Can you see it? Down here.
You got your knife?
Yeah, I have, yeah, mate.
You do the willow herb?
Foraging now.
Yeah, foraging knife. Not just a knife.
Not
it's
any old knife.
It's a legal knife, the size of it, and it's used for foraging, specifically. So what we've got here is the willow herb, and it's also known commonly as fireweed. And one of the reasons why it's got 2 different names is because there's the medicinal side, which is called willow herb, and then there's the actual kind of foraging bushcraft name, which is the fireweed, because it has potential for actually creating fires. I think, what was it using? There's a part of the plant that you use for...
I think it's the seed heads.
The seed heads are...
So is it like flammable then? The seed head?
I think it
It's
makes
like
it
a
easier
fuel.
to start a fire.
Yeah.
Or like
It's
a
when
fuel.
it's finished flowering, you know, like the feather.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why it's called feather stick as well.
Ah, it's the feather. Yeah, that's what it'll be.
Yeah.
Because it'll just
It takes
ignite
a
just
quick-
like that.
A quick
Yeah.
flash, like, yeah.
Right.
Because you use like wool, don't you, and stuff to
You
start
can do,
fires.
but you can use that's
Yeah,
natural.
Yeah.
Natural.
Right.
Like bulrush. And
Right.
that's what's edible inside it.
So this is the fireweed or willow herb. There's different ones when you call it willow herb. There's coarse willow herb, there's hairy willow herb, there's roseberry willow herb. It's quite easy to identify because of the leaves and the spear-shaped head to it. And what Gavin's doing at the moment is
Take
the way you
pith
can
out of the
actually
middle.
forage it. So,
I'm
in
not-
the stem,
I'm not doing it very well, but that tastes like cucumber.
yeah.
If
So-
anybody wants, have a
Would you like
taste.
to try? Councillor Warren, would you like to come forward and try some of this cucumber? It's there.
Definitely
Vegetarian
say-
after all.
Keep the 2 metres.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Honestly. I'll move out of the way so you can. When is it 1 metre? Is it on 4 or something?
No, it's
That's
1
full
metre
of
plus.
carbohydrates.
Or 1 metre plus. sorry.
Yes, and it's only 1 metre if you can't do 2 metres.
It's not the
still
best
2 metres.
tasting
Right,
one. That was nice as yesterday. That.
Might be because
Yeah,
it
you
were.
harvest
It's
it.
very, what do you call it? Mild taste.
Yeah. Just say it tastes like cucumber. But
You know
it
what's
depends
special?
on your taste bud.
It's sweeter.
Yeah,
try it.
yeah.
It's nice.
Get some more. There's an abundance of willow herb. You find it everywhere, especially in the cutting. You'll find it down at the what we call Mawson Bridge. So when you get the maps, you can check on Leverhulme Park, the maps there, and you'll see a load of the section
Yeah,
there by
it's the
Mawson
fifth,
Bridge.
yeah.
You'll find it in the cutting. You'll find it along here in this spot.
You can peel
And-
it and get.
Is that the only bit you can eat then in that bread bit?
It's all edible. The leaves are edible. You can make tea out of them.
Have you?
Yeah.
They have to be young though, don't they, Gav? The younger leaves.
Yeah.
Would you dry the leaves before you made tea?
No, you can just put them in it. Yeah,
Try
that
some.
makes a.
The thing is with most plants, it's all about taking it when the leaves are young,
Middle bit.
because then it's got there's more taste to it.
Not taste, that.
It's like with wild garlic. You can eat wild garlic when it's flowered, but it's not nice. So you take it before it flowers.
You need to get a good bit of it, really. You know, get the taste.
It's not like bitter or anything though, is it?
No, it's not off-putting, is it?
But this is the area where you often find the elephant hawk moth as well, which is the the big
I'll be finding
chunky
bits of it too.
caterpillar.
Oh,
So we
Willow
found
Herb.
this. Is it
Oh,
twice or once?
So, well, we found it once here, but we have found it twice.
Yeah, yeah,
It's full of vitamins, yeah, and carbohydrates, I believe that. Yeah,
yeah. Would be.
yeah.
So
it's-
it's
it's a-
because it's not like off-putting taste.
No, that's what we were saying yesterday, wasn't it? Most of the things, if you smell them, they
Yeah.
have a foodie smell, don't they? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's all edible. Look.
Right, so we're going to carry on walking. So that's just a single section here. We've identified like 7 or 8 different types of plants that you can eat. We've got apple tree, we've got a plum tree. It's the I was nearly saying that.
Thistle, did you get the thistle?
Oh yeah, we touched on the thistle.
Yeah.
I was saying about it's the leaves as well, which one thingy, but it's like most people don't try because it's so
No,
spiky.
you've got to cut them off, yeah.
Yeah,
and
so you
the
have to cut.
root as well, and
Yeah.
the head is like a mini artichoke inside it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's the effort it takes to do some of these.
Oh,
it's much
yeah,
like boiling
yeah,
and
the hard
cooking,
work, yeah.
frying.
It's just there, isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
So when there's another lockdown, forget Aldi and Morrison's, just come down here.
Come on in.
Leave room
Your
shopping.
pizza, yeah.
Right, so we're walking back towards the centre of the park now. We were on the edge of it previously.
Lovely, isn't it?
So
It is
we're
nice.
walking
Really
along.
nice temperature.
On the right hand side is Clover, and you can see the small ones. And as it's been raining, I don't mind doing this, but you can eat the leaves on this one, actually the flower head, which is fine to eat. But here's the thing, in the hotter climates it can produce cyanide. So it's one of those plants that it's okay in our cold climates to kind of eat it. I think the red clover, the white clover, just beware of cyanide in the hot climates. It's one of those that I probably avoid in general because it's okay,
Yeah.
but it kind of tastes like a little bit like grass, a bit too close to grass to be one of those that you really want to be chomping down on it when there's so much more other things you could get, such as apples and plums just nearby. It's kind of like one of those last foods you get when society collapses. And you're like, okay, well, I need to survive. I'll eat some grass, perhaps.
So this is zombie apocalypse food.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not bad, but why would you even risk eating a plant that has potential for cyanide in it? You know, it's like, how can you tell when it's just been hot enough? Has it been hot enough recently for us to produce cyanide? I don't know what the rule is regarding that. It's one of those things.
Yeah, so gamble with the zombies.
Yeah, exactly.
So the apple tree, is that cooking apples or apples that you eat?
Eating apples.
Eating apples,
Oh,
those.
is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We don't know what kind though,
So,
but we know it's a red kind.
on this side, all along here, we're walking along towards the centre of the park now, with the public bins there. You've got pineapple weed. Now, pineapple weed can look somewhat similar to ragwort, but what you can do is you take the heads, and you can see the heads, the shape of them. They're very different to the ragwort. And the other thing as well is, if you take the head and then crunch it around in your finger, you can all grab one. So do that, crunch it around in your fingers. And there's such an abundance of this plant, and it is called pineapple weed because it is a weed really considered.
Am I crunching the head?
Yeah, just crunch the head. Crunch it. Can you smell?
Oh yeah.
What does it smell of?
It's beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, but you can also eat it.
Does it taste like
It
pineapple?
definitely-
It
smells
does.
like
The
pineapple.
taste is.
The smell is stronger than taste.
It is, yeah.
But it does.
It's nice
It's really
actually.
fruity, isn't it?
Yeah. Massively fruity.
Full of sugars.
Oh. I know what Denise is having for lunch tomorrow.
So the thing is, you need to be careful is when you've
Foray.
got low-level plants like this and they're near footpaths, is whether the council sprays this area. We know they don't spray this area because there's no marking regarding chemical spray,
It does taste
and it is
like
quite far
that.
back that they wouldn't spray this area anyway. But if you are collecting pineapple weed, it will grow in areas that the council may spray with chemicals, so be very careful that you ever take it near a footpath.
Yeah.
It's kind of safe to do it here where they don't spray.
Is it only here on the park?
It's everywhere.
Is it?
You'll literally find it everywhere. We've got it on the allotments, just a natural weed growing. But
And
it's
you
the
only eat
heads.
that yellow head, you don't eat any of the
How
rest.
much can you eat? Is it all? Because could I have that? Could I just like have it as snacks in a bowl?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about how much you can eat for this. But you do need to identify, make sure you
I
can
need that.
identify ragwort and pineapple weed before you start taking it and taking that.
It's just sprinkled on my salad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all about
Of
smaller
anything
quantities.
really, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
try and get it from different areas. So not,
Yeah.
if there is like
So you got pineapple growing on the ground, effectively.
Yeah, yeah,
chemicals or
yeah.
It still tastes the pineapple.
Yeah.
So as we're going this way, I'm going to get the map out and just show you where we're walking to and where we are. You want to walk on that. So, for those of you watching, we're just currently next to the bin here. We just went from the car park down across the cricket pitches, walked along the side, we're walking up towards the bin now, and we're making our way towards what is the fence and what we call the scenic view. And then we're going to walk through the Garlic Woods and come down towards Mawson Bridge and then walk along this section here. And by the time we get to here, we're going to finish the walk. So, where we've been walking along here, there's an abundance of food that you can actually forage. But as you get to like the grass areas, there's not much actually around to get. It's always been cut down, it's always been chemical treated and it used to, so there isn't really abundance of anything. I think we might just skip the scenic view for that area, just because.
There's not much there really, is there?
No. So what is there is that we previously planted hawthorn, crabapple, I think hazel,
Yeah.
dog rose, dogwood, and those 5 varieties basically give you apples, they give you berries, and they give you nuts. And unfortunately, when we did plant it, we had a heat wave during that summer. We didn't have access to any water, so we weren't able to water them. And also, the kids kept taking all the protection off, so it exposed them to all the insects, and it also took away the kind of greenhouse effect you have from the plastic protecting it. So a lot of them died. I'm talking probably like 60% of them. In other areas where we didn't have those issues, we didn't have the heat wave, we planted them, we're talking like 90%, 95% success rate with the planting, so that's really good. Yeah. But as you get to this area, it's just grass. So there's nothing really to show or talk about really on that fence. over on that side actually, you see where the cable slide is? Just as we're walking, it's not about foraging, we'll keep walking. You'll find that the cable slide will be removed. I'm not sure what the time scale. On our maps we mention it as an outdoor gym, and that's because the councillors for Brakeman and Darcy Lever have used their funding to acquire an outdoor gym for this side of the park, and I think it's got like, I don't know how many actually outdoor equipment it has. Well, the problem is it's been ordered from Germany, from my understanding, and obviously with the pandemic that slowed everything down.
Yeah.
Hadn't that occurred, we'd actually have an outdoor gym right here at the moment and all that taken away. But that's going to happen from my understanding still, and we're just kind of waiting for that to happen. So, I'm going to carry on walking for now. Is there any questions? Come up.
No, not so far.
Okay. Oh, we'll just do this one. So, you may recognise this one, and this is one that causes a lot of panic to people. So, this is part of the carrot family. There's about 13-14 different variations of it, and there's the hemlock, which is part of this family, and it's also the giant hogweed, which is part of the family. Both of those are deadly. The hemlock will kill you, and the giant hogweed will permanently scar your skin if it gets on the sap. And I don't really want to touch on these because of how close and similar they are actually. So there's sweet cicely, which is the one that's really easy to identify, so we will touch on that later. But for when it comes to these, it's not worth telling people over live stream how to identify them. So
Yeah,
for
too
instance,
difficult, isn't it?
yeah, you got cow parsley, wild carrot, and hemlock, which almost look identical down to a T. And cow parsley is everywhere. Hemlock is quite rare, but the last thing I want is someone consuming hemlock, water hemlock as well, and dying. So we're not touching on the carrot family because it's just notorious. It's really advanced foraging to even go there. I mean, there's native hogweed, which you can kind of get the idea of what it is and which one it is, because it's very similar to the giant hogweed, just a miniature version really. And you can eat the native hogweed, but if you're doing that, you need to go on a course really if you're going to do it. So over the years, we've been doing balsam bashing at Leverhulme Park, taking back the balsam. You'll see all along that area, it's all nettles. And the reason why it's all nettles is because we've been coming out, and the community's been volunteering with us and chopping down all the balsam to allow nettles to actually recover. Had we not been coming out, all this verge would be Himalayan balsam like it is here. And you can see that there's only a little bit left. And despite the fact we've been coming out here for, it'll be the third year I think, maybe second, no it's third year I think.
3 years, yeah.
To take these down.
This
Himalayan
area was
balsam.
covered, wasn't it? Right here?
Yep.
And there's none of it now.
Yeah, it shows you the impact. You can see just
Yeah.
small stragglers
Yeah,
that have made it through, but they've still been fired from.
And the nettles
nowhere.
are quite tall as well, aren't they? So
Yeah.
it's like, brilliant.
It's a great habitat for butterflies.
So, is there any value in balsam? Can you eat it, Chris?
So, you can eat the stem. I wouldn't recommend it because it does have toxicity.
Is it?
Yeah. So you can eat it when it's young, but when it gets older, it has toxicity.
Right.
It causes kidney stones, and it's not something I recommend. So if you are going to eat this, you can eat the flowers. I wouldn't bother with the flowers. What you're looking for is really just the seed heads, and the seed heads are the ones that you want to put in salads. So you can eat these. It's better to wait for them to get a bit older because they are quite young at the moment, very young. But you can eat them. They're fine. Yeah. But they're too young really to be eaten.
Just waiting for
So it tastes like grass. Yeah, it's like grass, yet again. When they get older, there's a bit more nuttiness and they're a bit harder. It's worth actually eating them.
Don't
And,
some people roast them and put them on salads?
Yeah, roast them, fry them. End of the day, it's most of the plants, it's all about finding a recipe that actually it works with. Because, to be honest, most plants are just awful. They taste awful. There's only a few that's actually like, oh, that's really nice, I'd love to have more of that. Like at the moment, I don't like what I'm eating at all.
What
Not
about
nice.
with a bit of garlic on it or something?
But this is it, it's like you get these, oh my god, that's awful. It wasn't that bad yesterday. It was quite nice.
Maybe the heat changed it, changed the flavour. Maybe that were too young.
Yeah, I don't eat that one. It'd be different though later. But yeah, what usually people do is they put like a net over the balsam so that they catch the seed pods when they explode. And that's an easy way to do it. So where we're going to go now is into the forest. And this is where all the wild garlic is. Now we've passed the season for the wild garlic. So we have to be careful when we come down here, everyone. It is quite steep.
Because you didn't tell me not to wear white jeans.
So
If I fall over, you're dead.
you can still smell wild garlic. So everything around us, you can smell it. Everything that's dead, well, that's the wild garlic now. It's past the season.
It's just that,
Oh God, I can really smell it. Oh yeah.
that wild garlic smells really nice, doesn't it? You can really smell the wild garlic.
Oh wow.
Can you still eat it now then?
No. So I'll wait till. So even though the wild garlic's still got its smell and it's strong, you don't want to eat it at this time of the year. It's a much earlier, you know, April kind of plant that you want to take. You want to take it before it flowers. The reason when you take it before it flowers, before it takes all the sugar out of the actual the bulb, and it's the bulb that you're going for actually to eat. You can use the leaves. They're used often in salads. They're really strong. I mean, really strong.
All right. Right. I've got your umbrella.
So this is a really nice woodland. It's one of my favourite woodlands at Leverhulme Park, and not only for the wild garlic, because yeah, the first time is like one of the first signs of spring really, when it starts to come through, and then you get all the lovely white heads in the flowers, and you get that lovely smell of the wild garlic, and it's entirely covered all this area. But also around February, about February, March, around that time, is when the scarlet elf cup, which is a mushroom, starts to appear in this forest. I mean, it's the perfect habitat for the scarlet elf cup. And where you find it predominantly is in a bit of a boggy, wet, damp area, which you'll find over on the right hand side. Obviously it's not February, so we won't find it this time of the year now. I think I found it even up to like about April. And it's really easy to identify. And with mushrooms, it's one of those ones where if you make a mistake, you only need to make one mistake and that's the end of your life. So when it comes to foraging mushrooms, well, you got to be super careful.
I don't know how you walk down this backwards cliff.
He's part mountain goat.
So we're down here at the moment at the bottom. Like I've said, you'll find scarlet elf cup around this area, down at the bottom here, down the right hand side. It's a mushroom you can eat, and it's really easy to identify. You can literally just Google it. It's the same with jelly ear. Jelly ear is a really easy to identify mushroom that you can't mistake for anything else.
Yeah.
And when it comes to foraging fungus, it's all about, say, taking mushrooms that you can eat, but making sure they don't look anything like anything in the poisonous ones. If they look like the poisonous ones, then it becomes more like advanced foraging. So it's when we're going around here and we're telling you stuff like, say, the ragwort and the pineapple weed. There is some similarities, but if you look careful and look close, you can't mistake them for each other. So we're going to carry on down this way. This area is has got Butterbur, and you'll all possibly recognise that round March, April maybe, around that time, is when you'll see this little pink flower appear. It almost looks like the Willow Herb in the shape of its head that appears, and it's a little small one that pops up all around this little area and then it disappears. And it's the same as the vetch in that you won't think the two are related. That disappears, and in its return is these giant leaves. So these will grow to probably about 10 feet. If there's competition for Himalayan Balsam, they go higher than that. And there is competition for Himalayan Balsam. So as you can see on the left hand side, you've got a lot of the carrot family, possibly either hogweed or cow parsley. I've not identified those, I'm not sure, I'm not being able to check. So you've got thistles around us. Yet again, we told you about the thistles. It's one of those plants where it takes a lot of effort and it's not really worth doing it unless you're kind of starving. You know? So on the side you've got the brambles growing. So in a couple of months' time it'd be a good location along here to come and get some blackberries. And as long as you take the kind of medium height around that area, then you're leaving enough for the birds, and that's great. So, I'm going to keep walking. Just show you where you are location wise. Let's have a look. Right, so we've just walked from the top there through that small path through the forest where all the wild garlic's here. And we call this number 2 forest, Olean Woods, which is Latin for garlic. And we've just come out to this section here, and I'm just stood here on the Bunker Meadow, which is this area here. So we're just walking over to Mawson Bridge, and that's where we are.
Lots of laughter from Councillor Warren.
I think Councillor Warren might be struggling getting down the hill. I think she might have chosen trainers.
Yeah,
She's got trainers on.
Route, it could be even worse.
Oh, alright. Yeah, I'm helping her.
There's not many people out, is there?
There's never at this time.
Oh, it's a lovely quiet morning, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. If you get rain, it's about 7. There's a good chance for deer. It's always about, when it comes to roe deer, if you ever come to Leverhulme Park and you're wondering why you've never seen the roe deer, it's all about dusk and dawn, and it's about who disturbs them first. Because whoever disturbs them first will see them, and then they run off and make sure they're not seen by anyone else for the rest of the day. So there's a chance we'll see them. You know, it's the kind of thing, if you come down here at 6 o'clock, it won't be surprising to find them just stood in the field. Because no one's disturbed them.
We've seen them along the path, haven't we? This hill, when just walking down of an afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon. We were doing conservation on here, and they walked directly across the path over there. 5 of them. They just took the time going across the path.
Yeah, we were stood on the path just watching them. They're really nice.
Before, but yeah. Did you fall? Did you fall?
Right now, school children at the back of the queue.
Alright, we're gonna... So we're just walking along the Meadow Bunkland. Oh, Bunkland Meadow, sorry. Bunkland Meadow. I'm still waking up. I need a coffee or a tea or something.
Yes, nice coffee would be nice.
I know it would be nice. So yeah, again, you've got brambles along my side as you're walking. You need to think in about 2 months' time that's going to be full of blackberries. The funny thing is that you'll find you'll come down one day and it's full of berries, and you'll come down another day and someone will have been down and just taken a load of blackberries, because there's quite a few foragers who do use Leverhulme Park, who do know where all the good stuff is, and they do obviously come down and freeze all the blackberries, which, I mean, I do it myself, to be honest. I take a load of blackberries and then keep them for months in the freezer, and they're great on porridges, of course, and I actually just like chewing them because when you've got them frozen, when you chew a blackberry, it kind of pops each individual little cell of them. So we've come along here. We've got to the section now where you've got the willow herb, known as the fireweed. If you want to get technical, you say raspberry willow herb, or the coarse willow herb, or the hairy willow herb. You just call it fireweed. It's an easy one to remember, that, fireweed. You can't really misidentify it for anything else. You've got the fireweed, you've got the nettles. And I'm hopeful we can show you why nettles are so important. So if you look here, you may notice lots of bites all along here. And then we'll look here, make sure I'm not touching any. If you want to get in close. This is why nettles are so important, because it's covered in the peacock butterfly
they're
caterpillar.
absolutely everywhere.
This entire area, all over there.
Absolutely everywhere. Thousands of them, possibly.
I'd say hundreds and hundreds.
Yeah.
So they're over in that section. So you've had a big clump of them, and they're still going. So there's still some with the, they're still webbed, where they're being left.
Yeah.
So you can see them all on the back there, all on this side. So if you do come down here, you can get about as close as I am. Just try not to disturb them, let them be, and it's great for showing the kids. So all of these, as far as we're aware, are peacock butterflies. So it's the peacock caterpillar at the moment. So they're pretty cool.
It's like a big party, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a big munch party.
So how many butterflies do you think have laid? It's not,
There's hundreds.
Not many butterflies because they lay hundreds of eggs, don't they?
There's hundreds here at the moment, and it's like on a single leaf because they're so small at the moment, so young. It's difficult to count, but on the other ones, you've got much older ones.
Yeah.
It's
There's a big
possible.
variation.
Do you
So
see?
there's definitely more than a few breeding pairs have come down here.
It's possible.
It's
Do
not
you
one
see
breed.
where it's just like a silky thing,
Yeah.
like here?
Yeah.
That's possible. That's just one butterfly.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Right, so we're going to carry on. So, in fact, I nearly forgot. This is the cool one.
Yeah, tiny little legs.
So this plant, down here, this one is called Sweet Cicely, and you'll find this one by Mawson Bridge, and it's located on this clump here, little clumps of it going all the way along, and then the left hand side all along here. So, does anybody want to take some of the leaves for this?
I was too busy looking at the pathway.
You want to try some? Roll it up. It's Sweet Cicely.
Oh yeah, I've had that before.
Yeah, yeah, just roll some up. So you take that.
Gabby,
There's no
can you
insects on
carry...
it. Roll it up.
Okay.
Yep.
Aniseed.
Yep. Massively aniseed.
So can you eat all of that?
Yeah, you can eat all of it. You can eat all of the Sweet Cicely on that one. It's always one of them good ones. You give the kids, let them squish it up, and you get a really strong aniseed smell, and you can also eat that as well. It's all edible.
So is it aniseed? Eh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. That's cool. So we're going to carry on walking. Yep. I'll show you when we go. Yeah, we're going to walk back the way. We're going to finish soon. Yeah, fine. So yeah, Sweet Cicely under there, all under that verge, under the hawthorn. It's mixed in with the nettles. It's not that common a plant. It's strangely you'll find it at 7 acres as well. Same location, near a bridge. I don't really find it anywhere else except for near the water. So, We're currently located.
You're really very much into 3D art, aren't you?
So we are currently just walked across Mawson Bridge. We didn't walk across Mawson Bridge. We walked along the side of the meadow there. We showed you the sweet cicely located here. We showed you the little caterpillars located just there. And then we walked over here and we just stood at the side of the brook going this way. Yep. And just at this location here, we'll show you what there is. So this area, it needs us to come out actually, Bolton Ute, and do some crown lifting because it's coming too shaded and it's detrimental to what is here, which is raspberries. So from that section where Jasmine stood, all the way down to about 20 feet down that left hand side are raspberries, and they're currently just starting to see. So in the shade, they're not doing too well.
These down here?
Yeah, it's got raspberries here. See, little tiny little raspberries at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Only tiny. But you'll see the difference when we come down here, where it's had, because that's all shaded unfortunately by the willow, which needs chopping out. When we get down here where it's not had the willow, taking the shading it out, we'll find some much bigger ones. Can you see the difference? Look here, look at that one there actually.
We did have some yesterday, didn't we? We had the odd one yesterday.
There's one here, yeah.
That, look, that's the difference.
That looks lovely.
To actually have the full sun on it, not being crowded out by the willow. Yep.
Well, look at that one.
So you can see on here, we've chopped it.
Jasmine's
No.
got one as well.
Isn't it nice?
It's really early to be doing this, but it's red. It's edible.
Yeah, quite tight. They are quite tight. We had them yesterday. They're quite tight, but really nice.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
You do
Nice,
need to
aren't
leave
they?
them longer. They are kind of longer, but it's fine to eat now.
Yeah, they're on the tart side, but
Nice. But yeah, they're much bigger if
Oh,
you
it's
leave
very,
them.
it's like
Zingy, isn't it?
zingy, yeah.
yeah, much more
It's
flavour.
sorrel.
Hello.
All right.
Where did you get,
Yeah.
where did you get that from, Gavin?
Okay.
Just hearing,
What does the plant look like?
it's kind of like, just loads of them that look the same, but what the sorrel has is like spear points.
At the ends?
At the end, instead of rounded, it's spear pointed. It's be round here somewhere, I don't know, I've just picked it up.
It's nice that.
Yeah. Just tastes like apple peel,
Yeah, it
doesn't
does, yeah.
Put that in tart, sorrel, tart, I believe.
Really?
Yeah.
Alright.
not found any more.
I'm saying with the sorrel, it's quite hard to find locations where it is. It's quite random, the
Oh, is
locations
it?
where you'll find sorrel. But Gavin's really good at finding it. I don't think I found any ever.
He's like a sorrel detector.
Sorrel, it's got sorrel antenna.
Yeah, there is some round there. I know where there is some up way back if you want to catch it there. But it was round here, wasn't it?
But yeah, the willow on that side all needs chopping back otherwise. Can you see how that's been cut back in the last few years
Yeah.
compared to that section? So when things get a bit back to normal, on myself and Simon or others, we might come out and chop it down and take it back anyway. Not sure. So we're going to carry on walking. The walk's kind of coming to an end now. There is other locations. You've got some? Yeah, let's go have a look.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see how difficult it is to find sorrel.
They have to
Yeah, so
spear
the pointy
point.
bits.
Yeah, that gives it away to like there's a lot of plantain that look similar and
Yeah.
like young dock leaves, don't they?
Yeah, this is it. Depending on what plant it is and what stage it's at, you could have like giant hogweed looking very similar to native hogweed because of its young
But that's
start.
best
It's
way
the same
of
with a lot of plants like
identifying
this.
it, which has the spear
So it's been a nice
Sorrel.
spear to identify sorrel.
on the bottom of it.
So we do have it at Leverhulme Park. It's,
I'm not sure about that. I only identify it by the and then the quick taste in it. You can taste the apple.
Yeah, it's got red at the bottom, hasn't it?
Right, we're going to bring you to the final one that we want to identify. And I hope you've enjoyed this walk, and maybe we've shown you plants that you never knew which were right next to you when you've been walking on Leverhulme Park. But especially the raspberries. It's amazing how many people don't know about the raspberries on this section. Now, there used to be raspberries at 7 acres. Unfortunately, what happened is the trees do what trees do, and they completely choke them out, and they're all gone now, the raspberries. That's why it's really important for us that we take back the willow there. So if you do come onto Leverhulme Park in the next few months and it's kind of been chopped back a lot, it is for the benefit of the park, because willow grows everywhere, and we'll harvest it anyway and probably do willow weaving with it. So it's all beneficial what we're doing, the work. It's like along here on the outside. As we're walking along, we think it'd be quite nice to crown lift a lot of the trees so you can actually see into the brook. So when you're walking along, you potentially could see the dipper or the kingfisher fly by. And probably might put a dead hedge in there. And it's pretty standard work really, but it has a big impact and it's a big change. So if we did do this change, we'd just like the community to be aware that we've done this for the benefit of wildlife and the public at the same time. So we just come into the corner, down where we're going to show you. So do we take over camera just for a moment? I got it. So, as we bring the walk to an end, we're going to show you the little corner where you can find the crab apples. And here is the crab apple behind me, which is, how many trees are we looking at there with crab apple?
I reckon from 12 to 15.
Yeah, it's a really dense, thick area of crab apple trees, and you can see the crab apples. They're not really on the lower branches, but on the higher branches, I'll show you quickly. So Simon's got some. So you can see, just look at the abundance. They're just everywhere. All the way up to the top there. So this location, we'll just show you quickly on the map. You want to get the map outside? Open it up. So, on the location of the map, we've just come down there, walked along past the raspberries, and it's just on this corner here, on the way to Pebble Beach. So with the crab apple, it's one of those that you don't eat raw, because you will feel ill from eating crab apple. And you're going to need to give it, how long do you reckon we need to give this before they're ready to collect?
I reckon another month either.
Yeah, it's easily another month before these are even ready to collect the crab apples.
Crab apple.
Crab apple.
What do you make with them? Jelly?
Jelly, you can even get cider.
Just need a lot of sugar in most things, so it's the same with most plants. If you're taking them off here, it's not really got a good taste to it. It's about adding loads of sugar to it to kind of disguise the fact that it's not nice to eat. So we're bringing the foraging walk to an end. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who watched this, and I hope it was really educational. Maybe it provided some information you never knew about the park before along here, what you can eat and can't eat, what's easy to identify on here. And I think, do you all want to say bye on the live stream?
Bye!
Thank you for watching.
Bye!
Bye.